And here we are, back again for another Coffee with Laura. And I am coming to you today live from Arizona, my parents' house in Arizona, actually. Um, Beautiful, warm, not quite as warm as Florida, but still enjoying it. But that's enough about me. You're here because you want to understand how to grocery shop so you can lose weight. So let's start at the beginning. Why do we choose the foods that we choose to eat? First initial instinct, they taste good, delicious, we like them. Very, very true. Um, but if we look at something like pesto or marinara sauce or even a type of noodle, why do we get that specific pesto, that specific marinara, that specific pasta? Statistics show it has more to do with what you were exposed to. So, what you saw your parents getting. For instance, when I first dove into the pool of cooking, aka trying to be an adult, I got, what is it, Neiman's, I think? Newman's marinara sauce solely because that's what I saw my mom buying. And I knew a lot about nutrition, but I never even thought, like, let me compare it to another one. So when I coach my clients on how to grocery shop to lose weight and not to fall into the trap, the number one rule, which I'm sure you all heard, is don't go grocery shopping hungry. Go full. Actually, go after lunch or after breakfast or after dinner. But definitely eat before you go. But more importantly, I like to approach it in a two-step process. So that's not even considered one of the steps. Eat is like given, you should, otherwise we set ourselves up to fail. But the first step I like to do is I have my clients create a list of the foods that they really need to store in their house. So I'm going to do this in two different parts. First, for people who don't have kids, and then we'll talk about people who do have kids. For the people who don't have kids, look at the foods that you and whoever else you might live with have in the house and the ones that like you really need. For instance, goat cheese you're always going to find in my house. Pesto you're always going to find in my house. Those two are just eggs, probably always going to find them in my house. Those are necessities for me. Once you kind of have the list of everything that you need to have in your house, like need, not want, like I want to have Reese's in my house almost always, but I know that's not really good for me and it doesn't always make me feel my best. It kind of makes me feel a little nauseous because I don't always know when to say stop. But sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Point being, have your list, and then to finish step one, look at the label, whatever specific label you get, the brand that you go for, compare it to two other brands and figure out which brand is actually healthiest and tastes good. It needs to be healthy and taste good. If it doesn't taste good, we're not going to end up eating it. So we need to make sure it has that as well. And then once you figure out like these are the necessities I need in my house, these are the best brands and nutritious labels of it, then you have your kind of go-to list of things that you need to go to. And that settles that. For parents, you guys have a much harder go around and you have to be way more mindful. Try to find ways to do the exact same thing as the people who are not with kids and find the healthiest labels, but it's healthy, tastes good, and your kids will eat it. So you have a third that needs to be in there. But just because your kids have food doesn't mean you have food. This is a really big thing when it comes to parents. And actually, I'll credit my friend Darcy for giving me this tip that she got from a mom friend of don't snack on what your kids are eating because then you just end up snacking all day. So have a specific plan in mind for you. As for how to grocery shop, I like to tackle it two different ways. It depends on the personality type of my client. Personally, I kind of do both just because what I end up getting tends to work that way. But the first, make a list and don't stray from the list. Build the list throughout the week because I know we all have those moments where you're like, oh, right, I need to get Pam. We're low on Pam. But then when you think about what you need to cook for that week, you don't actually think you need the Pam because you're thinking about the actual food. So make it a running list throughout the week so you can always add those things as need be. But when you go to the grocery list, make an actual list and just stick to the list. If you're going to go off the list, you need to have a why that is clear and connected to your values. So for instance, sometimes the Reese's Minis ends up in my grocery. Why? Is because I believe in balance. Actually, balance is one of my key values. And it only ends up in there when I know it's not me trying to emotionally soothe, I'm not trying to escape anything. It's largely because I haven't had it in a while and I'm craving a sweet. And I know if I don't give in to that sometimes, I create a different power dynamic in my brain, which makes me crave it even more, which is just counterproductive, if I'm being frank. So that's balance. But anytime I crave it, there are times I put it in there and I've had to take it back out because I'm like, no, that's just me wanting it to want it. That's not going to make me feel balanced right now. So if you're going to make an exception, make sure it is values aligned and very clear. The other more important one, shop on the outskirts of the groceries or of the grocery store. I don't know why I say it like that, but shop on the outskirts. Like how the grocery stores are set up are to make us buy things that we don't necessarily need. It's like Target, but not as impressive because we all know what Target is like. So when you go to the grocery store, start at your veggies. Start at your veggies. Even if you have to pass by some of the other things you need, start at the vegetables because then you literally get it in your brain. Okay, we're getting nutritious food in the basket, and then put it in the basket. And then keep going through all the healthy things. And then when you're done with all the healthy things, even if it's a little bit more inconvenient, which I know we don't like being inconvenient, but this is about purpose, not convenience, then go to the things that are less healthy. For those who are really trying to be healthy, to lose weight, and are just really having a hard time, I encourage you to do what I do. Both. I always make a list because otherwise I'm going to forget something. And it's always a running list because I learned that I forget something if it's not a running list. And then I shop on the outskirts, and then I might tinker into the sweet section because balance is important. But what you need to understand is that how the food industry is built is not for us. It's for money. We are the subject. We are the ones being manipulated to buy unhealthy food that we think is healthy. And I'm saying this because I have struggled with weight my entire life. I've gained 20, lost 30, up 40, back down 20. I can't even remember how many times, if I'm being frank. But there's nothing more frustrating to me than when I was trying to be healthy and I was getting things that I thought were healthy, but it was how the food industry spun it and left things out of the label that made it not healthy. That really got under my skin because at the end of the day, I was trying. And we all know how hard it is to put that effort forth. And no matter how hard I tried, when the manipulation of the food industry, it just doesn't matter. So if that's something you're worried about, be sure to check out my Nutrition 101. It is completely free, and it is solely because I hated that struggle, and I don't want people to struggle with that. So it tells you exactly what to look for when you are grocery shopping so that the food industry can't really manipulate you. That is called Nutrition 101, and you will find that right below in the comments. However, this isn't about how to be healthy. This is about how to grocery shop. Have your list, make sure you're full, and go around picking the healthy foods first. There's something in our brain when we see a full basket that we don't feel like we need to put things in as much. Don't just grab and go. Think as you go and connect with what you're actually doing. Consider how it's actually fueling you instead of just comforting you. And it's okay to have some balanced comfort foods every now and then. It just kind of depends on what your goals are. Because I'm very passionate about this due to my own struggle, there's also a free PDF that I'm happy to give anyone. I wasn't going to do this, but screw it. It's called The Kitchen Makeover, and it kind of tells you a little bit about how your kitchen is set up and how you shop around the grocery to set yourself up for success or set yourself up to fail. If you want it, just shoot me a DM and I'm happy to send it to you. Just say, please give me the kitchen makeover handout and I will email it right over. And then you kind of have like a foundation of where you're at with that. But ultimately, go full, have your list, stick to your list. If you're going to navigate off your list, be clear and connected to your values and shop on the outskirts, filling your basket with the healthy things, then the balanced things, and make sure you compare your level or your labels in step 1 to make sure you're getting the good, nutritious, fueling food just for you. But that is all I have. And considering we do have Thanksgiving next week, probably a good time to really check those labels and make sure you're giving yourself a little bit of health, one of the two. Fiber is going to be your friend for next week. Just keep that in mind. But beyond that, because it is Thanksgiving next week, I want to give you guys a very special discount for my Get to Know the Real You. There's recent studies done out of Harvard and Yale that look at confidence as one of the key elements to sticking to the healthy habits that you want to have, like exercising, meditating, journaling, eating healthy, meal prepping, whatever it is. And it all credits confidence. But what we do, according to this study, is we seek, let me do these habits, let me work out consistently, let me meal prep consistently, let me meditate consistently to gain confidence, when really it's a confidence that makes those habits stick. So that is why for my Black Friday offer, I am offering you $250 off my brand new program, Get to Know the Real You, which is all about breaking down our limiting beliefs and stepping in and owning your confidence so you no more people pleasing or approval seeking or any of that nonsense. But being healthy doesn't have to work against you. It can actually be much easier. And I say that after struggling for 2 decades. Please help yourself or help me help you, whatever that looks like. But think about how you currently grocery shop, how you think about it, what you do if you only want to go once, and see what's one thing that you can do better. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving next week, and I will see you for Coffee with Laura next time.